Pigweed here. Today we review a lager and ask, have we reached the end of woke? Well, good evening, Crowhill.
Good evening, Pigweed. How's it going? How about some beer and conversation?
That's a great idea. What are we drinking?
Well, this is an amber lager from close by.
Okay,
brewery.
good.
Yeah.
A good, nice local amber lager?
Yeah, so what's on your mind?
Very good. While back, not too long ago, we did the Pendulum Show.
Yeah.
And we were wondering if we had reached peak woke.
Yeah.
And,
Things were starting to swing back the other way.
Are we seeing signs that we're swinging back the other way?
Right.
Well, it got a lot of traction.
Yeah.
And I think it may have inspired Mr. Andrew Doyle.
Oh, that would be interesting.
To write a book called The End of Woke.
Yeah, okay. Well,
so I would like to talk about his book and the idea of the end of woke in general.
Okay, fantastic. All right, good. But first, let's get into this beer.
All right.
So this is local. It's called Amber Castle
Right.
from Silver Branch Brewing Company, which is just up the street in Montgomery County, Maryland. 5% alcohol. Interesting that it's done with a decoction mash.
What is that?
So a decoction mash is a mash is when you're soaking the grains in warm water.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes you want to go through several different temperatures, like you want to be 120 degrees, 140 degrees, 155 degrees, or something like that, right? So one way to do that is just to keep adding hotter water, but another way to do it is to scoop out some of the mash and then heat it up and add it back in. And
Which seems like a reasonable thing to do on your kitchen stove.
Yes.
But it seems more difficult at industrial level.
Yeah, it does seem a lot more difficult and a little more complicated. And you also have the question of, am I going to burn some of the grains on the bottom of the pot when I'm heating them up and that sort of thing. But it is a traditional method for making certain kinds of beers.
And it says it's Czech styled, and I guess these are Czech hops. Zaybeck. And they sound like they might be
Kazbek and Zatek.
Yes, they're like two names of guys on Star Trek from another planet.
That's right. And the Z's got that little umlaut or whatever that is on top of it. I don't know what you call that little guy though.
All right.
Yeah.
So the rich toasty malt character. Are you getting
a little bit?
Toasty?
Yeah, I like it. It's a sort of an Oktoberfest color, and
a little coppery, and it nice, and it's It says it's can conditioned. What is it?
Yeah, so it sounds like it's can conditioned. So we're probably going to get some sediment in the bottom here.
Nothing wrong
But
with
it's got that interesting blend of being crisp, but also a little bit malty, which is nice. I like it. Very good. Well done, guys, and send some more.
So just. I'm looking out on the landscape of the world, and it seems so bleak. And when I see a chance for a little bit of optimism, I reach out and
grab it.
I grab it. And so I'm like Andrew Doyle, a guy I don't personally know, but I know his work. And I like what he has to say. And he's going to write a book called The End of Woke. And I'm going, just give me anything.
We have to say also that Andrew Doyle is the creator of...
Titania
McGrath, who is like, when you think of woke, you have to think of Titania McGrath.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Because,
if you're not, if you're a Twitter person, if you're an X person,
yeah,
get yourself some
Titania McGrath. She was just absolutely hilarious, that character on Twitter.
And she's so woke that I wonder if there are people who don't realize the satire. That would be sad.
That would be sad.
But
so we listened to some conversations Andrew Doyle had with some other folks, and I didn't realize how incredibly smart Andrew Doyle is.
Yes.
Wow.
He's a PhD from Cambridge or Oxford in Renaissance literature.
Wow.
And a playwright and written for a bunch of people. And,
wow. Yeah. Amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
It seems like I was kind of surprised to find that my two favorite British conservatives are both gay.
Huh.
Wouldn't have guessed that.
Does that tell you something about yourself?
I don't know. And it doesn't tell me, it tells me something about the alignment of wokeness and gayness.
Yeah.
Douglas Murray is the other one.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's not a 1-to-1 ratio here.
No. So I thought one thing that would be interesting to start with was just how Andrew Doyle defines woke. Because a lot of people will say wokeness is, you're just making that up, doesn't mean anything.
Let me give you mine. In mine,
okay,
as through Vivek.
Okay.
Because I was like, well, how do you... I kept coming up with a 5-sentence definition.
Yeah.
And when Vivek said, I just think of it as somebody who's obsessed with race, gender, sexuality, and maybe climate change.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's kind of nice and tight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But Andrew Doyle, so I just wanted to set that as kind of what I was working with. And then Andrew Doyle, in his book, emphasizes something different.
Yeah, because just being obsessed with it doesn't capture the whole spirit of it.
Go ahead.
So Andrew Doyle says wokeness is a cultural revolution that seeks equity according to group identity by authoritarian means.
He puts a lot of emphasis on the authoritarianism.
That's right. Yeah, and that's why we're going to get into this question a little bit more. But whether wokeness is liberalism gone too far, or whether it's just not liberalism at all.
Right. It's a betrayal of liberalism.
Right.
I think is what he would say. But a lot of people would say, it's just wokeness and liberalism. They're just interchanged. One's just a little jacked up.
Yeah, but I think one of the things I found interesting is I listened to several of his interviews with people, and one of the things he emphasized is how wokeness became the big mess that it is now. And it was really around the 2016 kind of time frame where everybody
go ahead and back up to the that's 2016 is when the word woke got hijacked from the original woke.
Right, yeah, so the original woke...
This goes back like the 30s or something.
Right, exactly. The original woke was developed in the black community, and it basically meant being aware of racial injustice.
Yes.
And just having your ear tuned to it so you realize, I don't really want to be in that situation. So it was the kind of thing
pay attention to how much racism is going on around you, and don't just close your eyes and get on with your life.
Yes.
Stay woke.
Yes, and also it's sort of I think one way to put it was, that letter, some black racist agitator put out a letter to my son or something or other where he was saying, here are all the things that I would have to tell you about how you need to be afraid of all the cops and all. Yeah. It was taking it way too far. But I think a sensible version of that sort of thing is just realize that if you're driving in Alabama in 1975, you might get pulled over by somebody who doesn't like you very much. Yeah, right. So be aware of that. Be sensitive to it, and don't do something stupid, right?
Right.
So that I think was kind of the original idea of wokeness,
and frankly, most white people did not know that term was being used for anything. Right.
Yeah, we didn't. I never heard of wokeness until all of a sudden it burst into the scene. Yes, and then it became. And then it became this
2015, 2016. Somehow I don't know how he nailed that date down, but
yeah, it went from being aware of injustice or problems or whatever, to hating people based on their positions, canceling them. You can't be friends anymore. You can't have Thanksgiving dinner with them anymore. You've got to be, hair on fire, crazy upset about
there are right views, and anybody who's not with you is against you.
Right, and they're enemies, and you need to hate them. And they shouldn't be able to vote. They shouldn't be able to talk. They should be shunned from society. They should be kicked out of your organization. Their careers should be destroyed. That's when wokeness really came on the scene, because it just turned into this crazy nightmare.
Wokeness and Me Too kind of went hand in hand, and then that was the beginning of cancel culture.
Right. Yes. So. And what Andrew Doyle would say is that's not liberalism, because liberalism emphasizes free speech, tolerance, individual liberty. And like he was in one conversation, I think it was the one with Michael Shermer, he said, when I was in college, we would stay up late drinking, arguing,
right,
and, taking different positions. And we're still friends. And the next day we're still friends. Everything's fine. That's part of our friendship, is arguing about this, that, and the other thing.
Yes.
And that was good, being able to have a vigorous debate argue vociferously, take different positions on things, and we're still friends. Because so what? It's just an opinion about, whether Oliver Cromwell was a good guy or not, or whatever it was.
Exactly. And that was the joy of the college experience at the time. And then, I would say he didn't mention this, but I think if Jonathan Haidt were in the conversation, he would say, this kind of coincides with a generation of social media users who have decided, who are living on their phone bubbles, and they get to college, and they don't want vigorous debate. Mm-hmm. They don't want staying up late at night, drinking and arguing. It's we have right ideas, and you have wrong ideas.
And somebody has to protect us from these evil, bad ideas.
Right. And that's when you get the safe space.
Right.
And
because they never had to go out and figure out the rules for playing football on this field over there. It was always mom and dad and the coach telling them how everything did.
They had the helicopter parents.
Right.
Then they had the constant monitoring. Right. And followed by the
everything was about being safe.
Social media bubble.
Yeah. Feeling safe, so that when they went to college, they needed to feel safe in their opinions. So the university would have to come in and say, "Oh, we can't allow you to hurt anybody's feelings."
Right, so they could go to the administrators and complain that a teacher taught them an idea that they weren't already comfortable with.
That's right. Or that somebody on the other end of campus was saying something that bothered them for some reason, which is what college is about. For
somebody came on campus to say something that you disagreed with. Well, you don't have to go to the lecture. You could just you could just stay in your dorm. No, nobody can hear it.
Yeah,
it's not that I refuse to go.
Right. Such positions should not be spoken. And it's funny. I was listening to some well-known liberal politician who was talking about going around from campus to campus and the treatment he would get on different campuses. And he said that the campus that he got the best reception from, Liberty University.
Okay.
That everyone was required to come to the talk, and they were required to be polite. There were, no booing. There was no demonstrations. There was no yelling. If you wanted to ask a question, you could ask a question respectfully.
What sort of speaker?
I think it was Bernie Sanders, and he was talking about, his perspective on politics, and everybody at Liberty University was completely polite and respectful because they valued this concept of having a reasonable interchange.
Right. Nobody has blue hair at Liberty.
I don't know if they do or don't, to tell you the truth. But that all changed around 2016 or something like that, where all of a sudden to have some other opinion about something was violence towards these poor children.
All right. So now we're getting on 10 years.
Yeah.
And I think
we've had it.
And I think that what Andrew Doyle is saying is that, people don't care about that anymore.
Right.
Or people are caring less about that. Because, so, as of 2016, then you got Flovid.
Right.
Right? So then you had the confluence of
George Floyd
and
COVID hysteria.
And on Andrew Doyle's side of the world, Brexit.
Yes. And all those things made people crazy.
If you lost their dang minds.
Right. If you were for getting out of the EU, then you were some kind of a Nazi. And if you were, if you didn't get every shot that the government told you to get, then you were killing grandma, and it was horrible.
Then let's throw some Me Too and Harvey Weinstein in there.
Yes, and you had to believe that George Floyd was killed by a cop.
Right.
Oh my gosh!
Believe all women.
Yes,
and so.
And if you didn't believe those things, you were an evil person.
And I think he's saying that sort of cooler heads have finally prevailed.
Yeah, but there was a long space between then when. At first it was just the crazy people on Twitter yelling and screaming. But then it became enforced dogma in organizations. Corporations started to grab this stuff.
Well, absolutely. And all you had to do was report somebody for saying the wrong thing, and you could get them fired. That everybody, one day after George Floyd, you had to get an email from Bed Bath & Beyond telling you that they're not a racist company.
Right.
Like everybody had to line up, put the Twitter, Black Flag and
everybody had to believe that George Floyd was some kind of a saint.
Everybody
you had to go to
go
struggle sessions in your employment,
everybody
right?
had to go, pay $10,000 for a DEI instructor to come in and tell you that you have a racist company.
Yeah, but what's happening now is partially as a result of Donald Trump.
Right.
It's kind of like somebody has finally said, "Okay, we're done with that." We're sick of it.
That's right. So let's divide these things into two things. How much of it is a sort of public weariness? And let's do that first. And then I want to give full credit to DJT.
Yeah.
On changing
so
the culture.
Obviously, people were sick of it. I mean, it was oppressive. It was anti-liberal because it didn't believe in free speech. It didn't support any kind of open, honest discussion. It was authoritarian, and it was coercive, and it was wrong. People would go into meetings where they would say, okay, all the white people sit over there, and everybody who's not white sit over there, and now we're going to pick on you, and you need to apologize and grovel and say why whiteness is so horrible. And it was racist, and it was just ridiculous
and counterproductive to your company.
Yes, exactly.
Like, first, that was one thing that the bill of goods they were sold was how this was going to turning your employees against each other is a really fine way to create unity in a company.
Great way to make
and increase productivity.
Build team spirit.
Yeah. That's how you do it.
Right. Yeah. So obviously people were sick of that, but the thing was, it was kind of like Emperor's New Clothes. That nobody was willing to say it. Nobody's willing to stand up and say, "Hey, wait a minute, this is racist. We shouldn't be doing this. Cut it out."
Right.
Except for a few voices on social media.
Yeah, right. Well, there were a few voices who just got canceled, and then you only had the stronger, uncancelable voices who were still left standing.
That's right.
And,
So that kind of gets us into this question: is woke an expression of liberalism or a failure of liberalism?
So what Doyle is, he's using that classical liberalism that people don't really mean.
Yes.
When in the normal vernacular of liberalism.
Yeah.
And so, like when I celebrate Western liberal democracy, I'm not thinking about a welfare state.
Right.
And, that's not what I mean by liberal. But
not talking about Bernie Sanders. We're talking about
No. So he's saying it it defies classical liberalism. So what does he mean by an actual liberal?
By actual liberalism, he means free speech. You can say what you want, and there's we can have tolerance, open debate. We can yell at each other and disagree, but then go have a beer afterwards.
Right. You have to respect everyone's rights up until the point that their rights override these person's rights.
That's right.
And I think that's kind of where he says it's gone wrong.
It's like Ronald Reagan and Tip O'Neill were classical liberals. They would disagree on policies, but they would go and sit at the pub, and talk about things, and they were friends. And that's the way it's supposed to be. We're supposed to have open, honest discussion, and you can disagree, and that's okay. And you shouldn't be fired from your job because of some political opinion that you have some other place.
Right. Here, give me some of this definition here.
Yeah, so liberalism refers to a philosophical tradition valuing individual liberty, free speech, the rule of law, tolerance of differing views, and skepticism of utopian ideology. And I think that's a big part of the...
That's such a far cry from small L liberalism.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, small L liberalism doesn't value individual liberty, doesn't value free speech.
No.
Rule of law maybe could be questionable. Tolerance of differing views, are you kidding? And then they totally believe in utopian ideologies. The whole wokeism is about, we're going to usher in a beautiful new world by making all the Nazis not be able to talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's a never-ending list of grievances. They can't point to the thing that needs to be eliminated in order to reach our utopian. It will never stop. It morphs
all the time.
French Revolution.
That's right.
There's no principle.
And
and you're never woke enough, And all these woke people, fake woke people who don't really agree, but figure, look, this is going to buy me some cover. They're coming for you too.
That's right. Yeah.
And I think people have had it.
And what you said a week ago, you might have to change your opinion on now because. So then that's liberalism. Western liberal democracy refers to the broader political and institutional systems that are built on those principles, where they get it into government, court, media, universities, that it becomes part of the structure of the government.
Right, and it's the thing that, well, I don't know. Do you want to? All right, just give my 2 cents here on immigration.
Okay.
Yes, you can't bring in a culture that hates free speech and loves blasphemy laws.
Right.
That doesn't respect women's rights.
Yeah.
You know, liberalism is not tolerance of people who hate Western liberal democracy. Well, that's not how the tolerance works.
You can't say we believe we have a free speech culture. We believe in free speech, and we're going to import all these people who don't believe in free speech.
And we're going to shut our damn mouths,
right?
Because we don't want to offend these people.
Right? Yeah, that's dumb. So here's some good quotes from Andrew Doyle. Wokeness is not an extension of liberalism; it's the opposite. I think it's a fair point.
I think that's sort of central to this book. Yeah.
All the talk of decency and opposing bigotry was a smokescreen.
Right.
It's absolutely true, because wokeness is bigotry. Wokeness has destroyed lives, mutilated children, eroded women's rights, enhanced racial division, and blurred the lines between truth and fiction.
Oh my.
That's a good one.
That is top notch there. Yeah. That is good stuff.
People are realizing that woke is deeply authoritarian, and
yes.
that's absolutely true. Yeah. And then the last quote is similar to the other one, but like there's such crazy stuff going on in the woke world, like somebody was born in the wrong body, and
men can be women, and you know, it's the Winston Smith purity test. Mm-hmm. You know, it's not that I want you to repeat back to me that 2 + 2 = 5.
You have to believe it.
You must believe it, and
right.
That's where we are now. It's like this is not real. Men cannot become women. That is not real. But by standing up and saying that you believe it is a fealty test.
Yes.
And you have passed if you believe something that is not true for the sake of the ideology.
That's right. That's right. It's almost like hazing. I heard this thing one time that hazing is more prevalent in positions or in groups where there has to be a lot of trust between people of the group.
Okay.
Like if you're getting a job with the fire department, you're more likely to be hazed than if you're getting a job, at the library.
Oh, okay. I see what
because
you're
you have to trust the other guy.
We need to know that you are going to.
That's right. We need to know that you're going to be on our side.
Yeah.
That's right. So, in a sense, making somebody tell you 2 + 2 = 5 and believe it is a sign of you are with us. You are on our side. You are in our group. You are willing to say something dumb and ridiculous because you want to be with us. And I think that's a big part of it.
Yes, but once they have, but now you are entrapped. You have crossed the line between truth and fiction, and now you can believe any fiction that you're told to believe.
Sure, that's right. Because there's no standard other than fealty to the group.
Yeah, like diversity is our strength.
All right,
and,
other kinds of ridiculous statements. So I wanted to get into evidence that we've passed peak woke. Unless you had something else.
No. Oh, yeah, let's do this before we get to DJT.
Okay. Well, that's what I was going to get into because I think a big sign of the end of woke is that Trump campaigned very clearly against wokeness.
Very clearly.
And won the popular vote.
And the thing is, it was never. It was the institutions were captured. The people who have been educated into the idea of woke ideology, who are the bunny ears, very educated,
yeah,
are the people who control power. So you don't need you don't need 60% of the people to be woke. You only need the people at the top to be woke.
Yes.
And everybody else falls in line.
Mm-hmm.
And until you get, a power, till you get somebody who will stand up to appeal to the everybody else's who aren't on board with this.
That's right. Yeah. So Donald Trump in his campaign made it very clear he was against wokeness. But then as soon as he took office, federal executive orders banned federal agencies and contractors from engaging in diversity training.
Yeah.
He targeted education and critical race theory.
Yeah.
A lot of his appointments were symbolic appointments that were very anti-woke, different.
Right. So not just getting rid of the wokeness in the federal government, but things like universities that receive funding from the federal government.
Right. Yeah. And it's not just in the United States. In the UK, relatively recently, their high court, I don't know if it's called the Supreme Court or what it's called over there, but the court ruled that when it's talking about sex discrimination, it's talking about sex discrimination, not what sex you happen to believe that you are,
Right.
So,
meaning that there are men and there are women.
Right. And that's what the law was about, and that's what it says.
Yeah, but I still need to see a little bit more coming out of the UK to have any confidence.
No.
But that was at least a good
At least.
indicator.
But then there's other places. Viktor Orban in Hungary has taken aggressive stances against wokeness, banning gender studies in universities. That might be going too far.
Before we leave the United States, all the DEI is taken out. The trannies in the military, 5,000. I would have thought 5,000 in the entire U.S. federal government would be a lot for men prancing around in dresses at work.
Yeah.
But in the military,
that's unbelievable.
That's a ridiculous number.
Yeah.
And men and women's sports,
right.
The whole Title IX thing, just redefining it. Just Joe Biden, of course, Joe Biden didn't make any of these decisions, but the Joe Biden administration just deciding, we're just going to rewrite Title IX to include women and anybody who might think that they're a woman.
Yeah, and people are pushing back against men and women's sports.
Or your mom and pops. So, and I think just the whole thing, I think Pete Hegseth summed it all up. He says, we're done with that shit.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I'm just like, yeah.
Somebody's finally willing to say it. And that's the thing, is for the longest time, people were afraid to say things because they were going to get canceled. They were going to be called a Nazi. I
have a job at the local library. I can't
say this or I'll lose my job. And I won't be able
that's how bad it was. Because the tolerant left was going to throw you on the street, make your children starve without...
I know somebody who had that problem.
Oh, yeah. Well, So the term that I think I'm familiar with is that politics is downstream from culture.
Yeah.
Meaning, if you can change the culture, you can change the politics. But this is actually the opposite.
Yeah.
This is like going politics first. And I think it works because... Now you have, like you're saying, like you can stick your head above the parapet now because you know what? I thought that I was the only one cowering in my basement. Now I realize that the administration has my back. And once you start winning lawsuits, you start suing people who have been wrongly, punished by these policies. Then in that sense. Sometimes you need somebody to come in and change the law, and the culture will change after.
So it's possible that we're woken up from the long nightmare of wokeism. I mean, it's been about 10 years, and it's been a long nightmare, and maybe it is starting to end.
Yeah, and I think Donald Trump sort of came in at the right time, like we're tired of this crap.
Yeah.
So there's like a general, wave of resentment about this, and then you got the right guy at the right time, and oh my goodness, what can you just imagine 4 years of these? I mean, do you think that this wave would have turned around to give DJT his due? I don't think Andrew Doyle even barely mentioned Donald Trump.
Right. But
do you think we'd be turning the tide with Harris in power?
No, absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
And a lot of other Republicans wouldn't have done anything about it. I mean, think of Mitt Romney or Jeb Bush or any of these other guys. They were limp-wristed babies. You know, they would not have stood up and said, "This is crap, and we're going to get rid of it." So you got to give him credit on that point.
Yeah, I mean, I think he without academia, without Madison Avenue, without Hollywood, he was still able to read the temperature.
Yeah.
He was still able to read the room of the average person, even though all of the outlets of
the people who are supposed to be in charge of culture, right?
We're telling us that no. This is what everybody wants. This is what needs to happen.
Yes.
And he said, I don't think that's true.
Yeah.
And he got voted in, and he's changing.
And he's kicking it out. So I'm saying, that's hallelujah. Let's get rid of woke.
I wouldn't say that we're at the end of woke. We're at the beginning of the end.
We're at the beginning of the end of woke. That's right. Here we go. Cheers. Thanks so much for listening to Beer and Conversation with Pigweed and Crowhill. Remember to visit us at pigweedandcrowhill.com or send us an email at pigweedshow@gmail.com.